open the Rules and Legislative Committee. All the members are present, and John Carney, would you ask for prayer?
Almighty God, we ask that you would be with this time of discussion and debate and decision, that the decisions that would be made would be in the best interest of the people of this county. We thank you for all of those who work to serve this county. And Lord, we ask that your safety in the thunderstorm that is coming, that you would bring your protection to all of those who are at the fairgrounds or otherwise in harm's way. All these things we ask in your holy and almighty name. Amen.
Amen.
The first item on the agenda is approval of the June 20th,
So moved.
2023 Rules and Legislative Committee minutes.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Next item is consideration of placing the July 11th, 2023 Commission minutes on the August 8th, 2023 Commission agenda.
Move to place those on the agenda without a recommendation.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Next item is consideration of placing notary applicants on the August 8th, 2023 County Commission agenda as requested by County Clerk Donna Thomas.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. The Veterans Report is included. There were 60 that were transported in June to the VA hospitals, and there were 65 veterans that came by the office in June. I think Mike's just, okay, you have anything to add to that?
No, we just, the month before was a bumper crop, that's all. We had a lot going the month before. Saw that we had that 91 on there.
And Mike, I noticed a lot of stuff going on at the VFW here lately. Y'all having more events down there?
Yes, sir.
I've just noticed there's a lot of cars and activity and things going on. It's really good.
Try to have as many as possible. We've made All-American 2 years in a row now.
Y'all do a really good job of keeping that place clean too. Grass mowed, it looks nice.
That's our auxiliary there. They're the best in the state.
I agree.
Any other questions? Motion approved.
Motion approved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the next item is for information only. The Shovel Clinic, the medical report, they saw 114 patients, and that's about what they usually see. The dental was about 28 in the dental clinics, and it's just for our own information. We know that the doctors do a great job. We're lucky to have that, and as Commissioner Penson said, I think they're going to expand the dental part of it where they can take care of more patients. Anybody got any questions? Okay, we'll go to the next one is the Ag Center. I think Commissioner Anderson said they did meet, I think the 10th
We
of
did.
July, and he brings up the date on.
Our big thing is we had to get a hell of a truck out there, and that was, as you all know, buying a vehicle is not the easiest thing when they see the word Bedford County on there. So we were fortunate to do really well, and this should be good maybe for the next 20 years, because it's a good truck. So that was the big deal for us. We had a special call meeting and got that done. The other thing, and I know this will be under announcements, but we do encourage everybody to go out to Bedford County Fairs, going out to the Ag Center, and we wish everybody could go out and attend.
It just started last night.
Started last night, correct.
Okay, any other questions concerning the Ag Center? The county fair is going on now.
Yes.
So if you get a chance, try to attend. Okay, under old business, there's a resolution to amend the zoning resolution of Bedford County, Tennessee. It's been on the agenda since last year. I guess we just
Roll it.
okay. Yes, ma'am.
Sure.
Yes, that'd be great.
Yeah, I was
What?
thinking, in the last meeting, planning commission meeting, the planning commission voted to lift the moratorium, not to lift it, but to recommend it to be lifted all down the commission agenda or tonight's agenda, that we would just make the announcement tonight so you guys would know that it would automatically expire on tonight.
Chris, can I ask you a question? When we talk about retention ponds, and this is more in the city of Shelbyville, I'm noting, but it's a county question I have for you. But I've noticed on some of these developments, when I see what's supposed to be a retention pond, one of them's right down from my house, above the Golden Gallon where these apartments are. It looks like a big drainage ditch to me. It's not retaining any water. And I've been looking all over town, not the county, but a retention pond should retain water, shouldn't it? Like hold it after a rain, not just make the flooding actually worse.
They're wanting you to come to the mic.
Okay.
Can't hear you.
Yeah,
So my
I'm sorry.
question, Chris, is in the county, what is our rule on a retention pond?
Okay, so essentially, probably 99% of drainage features that involve a pond are detention ponds, not retention ponds. And so the difference is, as you mentioned, a retention pond would retain water. It would be designed to hold a certain amount of water all the time, and then but be capable of holding additional storm waters in a rain event, a large rain event, and then release those the extra amount of water as slowly into the system, into the drainage system at an engineered rate, which would be no greater than what it would naturally have done. And all that requires a lot of engineering to do. But essentially, retention ponds are going to be, you'll see those in areas where, that development over behind the horse show grounds that has a pond in it. It keeps water in all the time. That's a retention pond.
Okay.
We don't have any in the county that I'm aware of. They're detention ponds. And so really they're designed to stay dry all the time. They don't really hold water unless there is a big rain event. And then they just hold it and they begin releasing it immediately at that engineered rate. So what they'll do drainage calculations, the engineers will. Beforehand, they'll determine how much water can leave the site.
But I have noticed more than just one in the city where I'm looking at it going, we get an inch of rain. If you'll notice how these streets are flooding the way we do, just an inch and a half of rain, Depot Street will get to where you can't go down anymore.
Right.
So we've got a water flow problem here that's not, when it rains, what if we got a 6-inch rain, where would we be?
Right. So pretty much anywhere that you would have a development that would propose a detention pond would be a benefit to the area, because we don't have anything controlling the water out in these rural areas right now.
But a place like Walmart or somewhere that has to put one in, what would it be considered?
Motion, we got off on talking to the.
Yeah, we did.
Roll it.
Roll.
Okay, and
Roll,
there's a second, and we voted on it?
No, we didn't vote.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, that's why I was asking, we had some comment, and I couldn't remember. Okay, the next item is guidelines for open meetings. We have a copy of a Gmail on our desk, and it's from Melissa Kelton. She's with CTAST, and she's our person that we contact if we have any questions. There were 7 the comments here. She commented that the lottery idea is good. Make sure you have some type of ADA on how people can submit. The 3 and 3 structure is good. It'll take a little more effort to manage. 4 was a lottery idea is good too. 5, you might consider having the people who show up at the meeting for public comment check in. 6, again, the law does not state that everyone is entitled to speak. And 7, as far as the committee meetings, you're correct that they're typically more relaxed. And it's, of course, all the meetings are determined by the chairperson. Okay, Commissioner Sanders?
So this email was in response to me making a phone call to Josh Carney and to the mayor after our last meeting. I just went home and slept on it and woke up and had this idea. And it's just something I'm throwing out there. It's something that I've talked to Josh about. He says it can happen. And it's just something to throw out there for y'all to think about. He said that we could actually put our agenda on the website, like before the meeting, 10 days before, just like they give it to us. And then there could be 2 different buttons. There could be one for commenting, where the commenting could go into, and he can explain this better than I can, export it into a spreadsheet that we could get right before the meeting, so everybody would know the comments and what district the people are in, et cetera. Or that there could be one just if they want to speak, and they can fill out the form. So it would be 2 options. So that would be a way that everybody would have a voice if the majority wants to do that. other, or just where they, it could be, and Josh, you might can explain that better than I can.
Okay, yeah, I'll repeat what she just said so that the people online can, that's okay. So basically, she had called me and said that in case we needed the public to be able to comment on specific issues at meetings, were there any options for us to be able to provide something for the public? There are options. We could have an online form where the public could basically come and fill out the form. Based on whatever the issues are, we could offer a form that they could access on their mobile device or their computer at home, and they could fill that out. We could export that to a spreadsheet, and all the commissioners could get a copy of whatever the form says. If we want to go that direction, there is an option. So we would provide an online form so that the public could weigh in on whatever issues we had.
Well, I got you here.
Yes, sir.
Biggest thing I like about your idea is the comment idea. A lot of people don't want to get up and talk, but they would give us our comment, and that would be a good thing to read from people in your district, anyone's district, to see what those comments were. Because a lot of people are intimidated to get up and speak. Well, that doesn't mean their voice shouldn't be heard. If we do this, you're letting everybody speak or speak to us. Absolutely. I think it's a wonderful idea.
Okay, Commissioner Massachusetts was first, and then we'll come down the line.
So is this in conjunction with a decision that was already made the other night?
Now, this is an alternative to prevent this, having 100 people get up and speak.
On number 6, it says they do not advise that we do that, allowing the people to comment on the website. Because, I mean, just like, okay,
Right,
Biff,
you run into
yeah, Biff,
Facebook
can you
stuff.
go on the website and comment?
I wouldn't see any need to it since I'm on the committee.
Yeah, but I mean.
Be on
I'm
another
saying,
meeting, I guess you could.
gotta have a computer, you gotta have a cell phone.
Or they could go by the mayor's office. You have to have an alternative way.
Yeah.
If somebody didn't have it.
Well, you wouldn't
A lot
have
of
to
the
put the
elderly-
comments up on the website, would you? Could just get back to us
No,
what the
they would
comments
just go
were.
to us.
It's not going on a website, it
No,
would just be coming to us, for us
It
to
would go in
read.
a spreadsheet for us for the meeting.
Not something out for the public to read, like Facebook. If it's like Facebook, I'm out.
Yeah, but a lot of the elderly are not gonna have, I mean, Virgil's got a flip phone.
Yeah, but if we're reading it, that's fine, but
Yeah,
not
but
the
the elderly not
Facebook
gonna,
deal.
if, they're not gonna come speak anyway, so at least we have an opportunity for somebody.
I think if we did both, fine, but I don't think it should just be the only thing.
No, we're saying both.
Yeah.
No, we're saying
That's
both.
not what I,
Yeah.
no, I meant that as an option to allow more people to speak
Right.
without letting 100 people get up there and speak.
Right.
You gotta have some kind of common sense and guidelines.
Okay.
No, I agree. I mean, I think, all opportunities that we can provide folks to speak, the better, you know. I was just wanting to make sure that we didn't, we weren't gonna do away with giving everybody the opportunity to speak at the meeting if they just walk in the door and they fill out the form and they line up and speak for or against their topic. I just wanted to be sure that we didn't X that out, because I think that's just extremely important. So,
Are you complete? I'm sorry.
I'm done. Thank you, Commissioner.
I'm trying to get this all in my head so I know how to write it up for the bylaws. And so after, I'm like Julie, after I driving home, I thought, oh Lord, what have we done? But the other thing might want to consider, and we can play along with this and see how it goes, but just say after 20 minutes, the chairperson, be it of a committee or the commission, after a certain amount of time, doesn't have to be, it can be 15, it can be 20, it can be 30, say, does anybody have any other comments that have not been given? And that way, you don't have the same thing over and over and over again. So just something else to think about.
Commissioner Yaki, after me being here 9 going on 10 years, how many times have we sat in a place and basically they're still talking, but they're saying the same thing over and over, and it lasts 2 hours?
Yeah,
Now, if
and
it's something relevant new, that's one thing, but to sit and
Exactly.
just talk the same stuff.
and sometimes you do get information. I mean, we
Sometimes
see
you do.
this at zoning, but if it's just the same thing, you know, I don't want it because I'm close to it, and it's over and over and over again, that the chairperson has the authority to say, unless you've got something new, you know, to bring, we'd like to end the session. So I'll just throw that out there.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask you a question? First of all, the statute that was passed didn't give us ample time
to put any of this conversation in place, because it passed June and made effective July
Well,
first.
we've got time to still study.
So we have time now, but we didn't when we were noticing this, and that's
Correct.
what we had talked about last month, putting these guidelines together. So having said that, I think what we adopted last week was our temporary guidelines. They are not the final guidelines. So what we want to do is have, because it needs to go into our bylaws, and so we need to have a discussion. And so we need to figure out how we want to proceed with this, using options like Julie has had, or Commissioner Sanders had, and comments from Commissioner Anderson, and now everybody, so that we all have the chance to weigh in on this. So how do you think is the best way to proceed to get us to that bylaw revision process
It needs to be here.
in the committee?
Yeah.
Y'all need to tell me what to write, and I'll write it, but, and I like both. I think all avenues that you can have, the better off you are.
Yeah.
Okay, I think Mr. Strasser is next. You want to comment, and you come step up, and then, Commissioner.
Tracy Strassner, I applaud the opportunity for you guys to listen to public comment. In sitting in the meeting the other night when you guys were talking about it, is you need to put the same structure in place for public hearings. Because then if you're having a public hearing where people are showing up to make comment, because it sounds like that's different, at least the rules are the same and it's similar for people who are showing up to talk. I don't know if that's covered or not, but it sounds like you want to make that look the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just got a question. The whole night we were there, nobody said temporary. It was never mentioned, it was never talked about. That was talked about that we were trying to make a plan. We debated it for 30 minutes. We had some nice conversation back and forth, and I felt like we settled on something that benefited the people of this county. And all I hear is we don't want to hear people talk over and over about the same thing. Well, guess what? They're citizens. They have the right to talk. And the thing about it is I get tired of coming up here, and I was not even going to talk tonight. I was going to let y'all have your time. But the thing is this is what you're doing. You're trying to find ways to stifle the people of this county and being able to talk. If you can't give them time, don't run for the damn office. At the end of the day, give them their ability to talk. They're passionate about these items. If they take their time out of their busy day, whether it's a farm or whether they're taking care of their kids, and they come up here to talk for 3 minutes, let them talk. And if you want to stifle that, please vote for it. Because the thing is just like I said at the last one, I hope all this stuff gets on the record, and I hope you all are held accountable for this. I just go home and I talk to constituents over and over about how they feel like their voices are not being heard. And for once, I felt like, hey, the commission agreed that we're going to let people talk until they get what they're out or what they want to say out. And so at the end of the day, I'm just glad we're getting to vote on this. And if you want to bring it back up and we want to go back over it, great, we'll talk about it. But at the end of the day, we need to do more of letting the people get involved in our process. More.
Commissioner
Not
Hooker, I
less.
think one of the things that Julie brought up, Commissioner Sanders brought up, is that comment line would be, because there's a lot of people that don't want to get up and talk to
No,
us.
I'm fine
But it
with
would be
that.
great to
If
read
it's
the
as long as
comments.
it's in conjunction and on top
And
of
not on a
what
website like Facebook, just coming to
Yeah.
us, it would be really nice, because I think we might find a lot more people are engaged with us that way, where they don't have to come up and speak.
Yeah,
And we
I'm
do need to
completely
hear or
fine with
read what they have to
additional,
say.
but where I have heartburn is people coming up here and going, well, if they're saying the same thing over and over, the chairman can just go, oh, we're gonna stop, we're not gonna talk. Because then what it ends up being is it being subjective based on who's the chairman. If they wanna hear that, if they're for that particular thing, then they can cut off comment early. If they're for it and they're talking for it, then they can just let them talk forever. Let's take the subjectiveness out of it and let's let the people talk. Let's listen to them. I mean, heck, we've had some very controversial topics and we've never gone over 30 minutes. I can give people 30 minutes. Lord, I'll give them an hour if they need to. But at the end of the day, let's not try to stifle the people. Let's let them talk. Let's give them more time. But again, y'all do what you need.
This was definitely in conjunction with the other to be able to fill out a form to go speak. But I also want to say is when you get too many people talking, you lose a lot of order in a meeting. And this is public government. And you've got to have some order in your government meeting. It doesn't mean that people don't have a voice. But if you whenever we've had some meetings with 100, 150 people in the crowd, and they all wanted to talk. And sometimes they get a little out of hand. They start cussing. They start getting out of hand. And this is the whole reason the state has pushed us to have an organization. like Commissioner Vick said, we were kind of pushed to do it really quick, kind of do it. And I feel like a lot of us felt like we just kind of did what we had to do to get done that night. And in committee, we need to discuss it more. Now, if everybody wants to vote, to let it stay the way it is, so be it. I just thought I would throw out some other ideas so that there would be another avenue to comment so that everybody felt like they had a voice and it could go to the commissioners and it not be a public circus, because it can turn into that. So, anyway.
Now, there's gonna be changes in open meetings, okay, Commissioner Thomas?
I'm not here to debate it one way or the other. I think we agreed as a commission to let them 3 minutes, was each person 3 minutes, no matter how many it was. Josh, can we do something on the TVs to time that? Because people need to see what they've got, because they might want to get to a certain comment that they want to make. And if they've only got 3 minutes, then
That's a good point.
if we, or maybe we need to buy a clock or a timer to sit on in front of the table or something so they can see it.
That's a
That
good
would be
point.
my
That's a very
suggestion.
good point. That's a really good point.
Okay, Commissioner Madden.
Commissioner Thomas stole my idea. That was a good idea. I think that we need to still allow everybody, my vote is to allow everybody that wants to speak the opportunity to speak. I mean, if we look in this room tonight, it's not full. I mean, and even the times that we've had the controversial topics, the room over there, it wasn't necessarily full of folks that wanted to talk. I really don't think that it's going to be a big issue. I think we're putting in our minds that we're living in Davidson County and the entire city of Nashville is coming to our meetings. That's just not the case. So for the record, I do hope that y'all make the decision that we allow anybody that wants to come to the meeting the opportunity to speak for 3 minutes. And like the commissioner just mentioned, have a visible clock up there for the 3 minutes. And to Commissioner Sanders' comment, I agree things could get out of hand, but I believe that that's the chairman's job, and I think that the mayor does a good job of being the chairman of these meetings. He keeps order. But I think that we can definitely handle this as long as we put the parameters in place to govern it. But I really, with all my heart, feel that we cannot, just like Commissioner Hooker just mentioned, we cannot silence the folks that want to come talk. Last thing I'll say is, I know what some of you meant in regards to the redundancy of the comments, but, sometimes people just want to know that their voice is heard. And if they vote for me and they want to come to a meeting to have their voice heard, it would hurt my feelings to know that they're not able to speak. So I urge you to make the right decision, what I feel like is the right decision. But to Commissioner Sanders, I do appreciate you for bringing that extra opportunity to the table as well. So thank you for the time.
Chairman, I think we're all on the same track here. And I think there is no one on this commission that is trying to stifle any comment. There's no one trying to do anything that tamps down the right for citizens to address and redress their government. That's what we're intended to do. But I do think we have a conflicting number of ideas and concepts, and operating under the temporary agreements that we had last month is fine to continue on. But I think we need to have a bylaws committee meeting, a subcommittee. We need to form a committee to put this into our bylaws so that then we have a proper method for going forward. I mean, we didn't even follow it tonight. We didn't have our public comment here tonight, and we should have in there. So that would be my suggestion. I would make that the form of a motion that we form a committee to study this bylaw, to get input from everybody so that we have a proper path to move forward. And that's my request there.
It needs to be from.
One thing about forming these subcommittees, y'all. Why can't this committee just do it? Let's do it, us with
Well,
whoever.
we can meet, and anybody wants to come,
Yeah.
then let them come.
That's fine. We want to have a
Just
special
have it open.
meeting and we have it
I
open.
mean,
and
I just
everybody-
hate forming these subcommittees and forming these different little things, and we've already got committees, let's use them.
Why don't we just rock along with what we got for 6
That's
months?
right. Well, we
6
tried.
months and just see where we are.
We'll
gotta
go
put it in
month
the
to month. I don't
bylaws.
wanna wait 6
No, I don't
months.
like 6.
No, we need to try to get this tamped down and.
Well,
and
things may
in
come
place
up.
as best we can.
How long you think it'd take for us to maybe get something like that running on the website, Josh? Let's go 30 days and let's revisit it in a month, and then we'll go
Or
from there.
90, maybe you need
What's
to
our
go.
objective? What is our
To
objective?
where we get the comment thing up and all that, he's talking about how long it takes.
Okay,
the
well, what's
website.
our objective with this process? what are we trying to achieve? Are we trying to achieve a bylaw change? Are we trying to, I mean.
I
we
think
to
we'll have to eventually have it in our bylaws because, but I don't think we need to do it in, like, today in our bylaws because we might want to change something like Judy
I
said.
agree with
I
that.
know
Yes,
everything's
experience
all
under our
everything.
belt.
I think, we should do maybe 90.
Well, it's the
Oh.
other stuff I gotta do.
Right.
This is just one of the little pieces that I'd like to get in there when we make the changes.
We wanna do 90
Well,
days,
make them
60
all.
days, what we think?
Why don't y'all, as that committee, set up the rules, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, what we talked about the other night, what Julie's mentioned, and then next month we can look at that, add to it, take away from it, and then once everybody agrees, then y'all send it to the commission for a full vote, and it goes in the book,
Y'all want to 60 days, give us plenty of time, instead of 30?
Let's go 30 to 30.
All right, 30,
If we
30 's
do it
fine. I'm
30,
good.
let's do it in 30. There's no sense going 60,
I'm
we do
sure
it in 30.
You'll probably have to send it to legal, and they'll have to look at it, make sure. it's
Right,
correct
and they gotta
all
send it
that.
back, and we'll have to look at it.
Who's gonna do
I
it?
just make a suggestion, somebody who can write, I don't mean write, but prose. Write up what it is that we did last night in the commission, and whatever else you wanna put in there, so that you've got something written for everybody to see.
Yeah.
At the next meeting.
Well, county mayor's sick and gone, but we can check with him
Yeah, we'll
and,
go from there.
because yes.
Well, what we did will be in the minutes.
And
Yeah,
get
but
some
it needs to be a
feedback
little bit different.
Right,
Right.
I understand.
and then go from there. But we'll take anything that y'all want to submit,
Sure.
and
But we could
I mean, I
add
don't
Julie's
mind
ideal
writing
and add the
what we
timer.
did And shuttle it through Suzanne and let her look at it and.
We have the form that we kind of revised from what the commission voted on.
Yeah.
On the 11th, this morning.
yeah, it's.
You're right, it's here.
Yeah.
It just needs to be put in the rule book, because once we're gone,
Right.
it's still gonna be in the rules, and if we're the only ones that remember it, well, know what?
Hey, you remember back in 2023?
Yeah, it'd be your interpretation of mine.
Right.
Yeah, and you probably need to get with Josh and see about the
Okay,
website.
so what are we doing?
Is that all right for everybody?
Yeah, well, I don't know what we're doing. Tell me,
Well-
somebody explain to me what we're doing.
You want me to get with.
If that's what,
how
I don't
like how
know.
it should be written prose wise for the bylaws, get with Josh and what Judy wants, and let Suzanne clean us all up
And bring it back
Bring
here.
it back to us.
Bring it
Yeah,
back
there you
30
go. That'd
days.
work. That's not fair, doesn't it?
Okay, that's good.
Is that all right for everybody on the committee?
And anybody that has an issue or has a suggestion, send it to Suzanne or send it to you.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so I might decide we want to do a different way, and I send you my suggestion, then we got
I would
all.
send it
the-
to the county mayor,
Okay,
Right, mayor's
Okay.
office.
and
okay,
then they'll bring it all together.
okay.
That'll work.
It'll
Any
have to
other-
come back
Any other
here.
discussion, any other questions? Is everybody satisfied with that? But we'll keep working on it from month to month.
Right.
Sure.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so any other questions concerning this issue? It is important, very important. Guidelines for open meetings, I mean, there's a lot can go on in that, in open meetings. And, Commissioner Vick, we're letting everybody talk here. I've not ever refused anybody the right to talk. I ain't dropped the gavel and told somebody couldn't talk either. Now, there may come a time when it happens, but it hadn't
I
happened
would
yet.
say, Mr. Chairman, in 5 years, you have never stopped conversations.
I've seen it too.
Okay. Okay, I guess we'll continue with that. What's the proposal? We're just gonna, we'll continue gathering information for 30 days?
Yep.
Is that okay with everybody? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, any announcements? I know there's several. We've already talked about the county fair.
Fair.
It's still going on, and so we need to attend it if we can. Any other announcements? Of course, we got the other meeting. Suzanne, you want to remind everybody of that, maybe by signing up or not, going to the, the Uncle Nearest and the other,
Oh, yes, Tanya's event, if you haven't let us know, she's pretty much turning the head count, but we can still, just let us know if you have changed your plans and you can attend the lunch or the afternoon, tour at Uncle Nearest.
it was at July 27th.
27.
Yeah.
It's on Thursday, I
Yeah.
believe.
She said there's almost 100 people coming. So
Wow.
she's got a
That's
lot
It
of
is
folks.
just blown
Well, I
up.
tried to email you back. I don't know what's wrong. My email wouldn't respond, but I did send Tanya a message.
Oh, good, okay.
Okay, any other announcements? So if you haven't done that, make sure you get your name in there if you're going. Any other announcements? Okay, is it?
Really?
Take a motion to adjourn?
Adjourn. There we go.
Okay, so moved.
All right.
Call the Law Enforcement Committee meeting to order. Note that Mayor Graham's out and Sylvia's out, and they did notify us. The rest of us are here. If you would, bow your head and I'll lead us in a word of prayer. Our most gracious and kind Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and we thank you for the many blessings in life. Father, we just ask that you go with us and lay a hedge of protection and protect everyone that serves our country, serves our county and our cities all across the United States. Father, be with those that are less fortunate than ourselves. And in all these things I ask, in Jesus' name, amen. Got roll call. Before we get into the approval of the minutes, Josh Carney would like to make an announcement about the microphone and how we got to do business now.
Thank you. So what we've done is we've set up a microphone here in the room so that the people watching these meetings online can hear everyone's comment. And if we continue how we've done this for so long and we just raise our hand and speak, then the people online who are watching these streaming meetings won't be able to hear you. And so in the interest of transparency, we would just please ask that if you do have something to say, come to the podium, speak. At some point, we're going to add some speakers in here too that would give you a little bit of a monitor so you can hear yourself speak. But I think right now we're just trying to get it so that everyone can hear all the conversations that are taking place in the room. Thank you.
All right, no questions on that. We'll proceed forward. The next thing on the agenda is the approval of the June 20th, 23 Law Enforcement Committee minutes.
Motion to approve?
Motion?
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next, animal control report. It's enclosed in your packet.
Hello, everybody. So if you're looking at the report, you're gonna probably see an alarming number. June was very, very busy for us, and we had what we call kind of a triple whammy. We had some cats come in that ended up with upper respiratory. About a week after that, we ended up with a ringworm outbreak, and then on top of that, another upper respiratory. What does that mean? So me and the veterinarian, which is Dr. Cooper, she's our vet of record, we got together and had to make the horrible decision to humanely euthanize, to decrease the numbers in the facility. We have quarantined the cat rooms in the facility, and for the past 3 weeks have been working on cleaning them. Ringworm in cats is different than ringworm in dogs. Some of these cats didn't even weigh a pound. So you're gonna see my youth numbers are a little high. I apologize for that, but that was something that just couldn't be helped. With that, we have taken in 450 animals since January. We have euthanized 47, which, like I said, that's really high for us. We usually run under that 10%. It puts us at about 10.5% for the year, but I do believe wholeheartedly that we will remain a no-kill shelter at the end of this year. We sent cultures off today. I cultured each room. The vet had sent me a packet to culture each of the 3 cat rooms. So we are waiting on that to come back from IDEX to hopefully we got it all. And if we didn't, then we will go back to cleaning. On a funny note, animal control is probably never been this clean. Even though we pride ourselves in cleaning very well, I mean, it's squeaky clean in every room. We had to take apart kennels and shelving and stuff like that. So, I do apologize for it, but it's something that just really couldn't be helped. And to maintain the safety of the other animals in the facility and my staff did end up, one of them getting ringworm. We just had to make that decision. It was not made lightly, and it was made with our vet. On a better note, to ensure or to try to curb this scenario from ever happening again, we are going to install the UV lights. If anybody has any questions about that, what it does is if what we can't see with our eyes, when you run that animal under the UV, it will glow a bright yellow lime green in most cases. Some cases it does not. But we hope to see something like that before we bring down the whole house with ringworm or something like that. We did not see it on these cats when they came in. They were not missing any hair at the time. They looked perfectly fine, but like I said, we can't really see it with the naked eye. So we're going to try to deter this from happening again. But it is common in a lot of shelters. Yes, ma'am.
Wait,
If you'll repeat my question.
Okay.
Okay.
Ventilation.
Mhm.
Has that been checked out with the respiratory thing?
Yes, so Commissioner Yaki asked about ventilation. The good thing is the way that animal control is set up now, we have different units for different places. So we tried to contain it by taking all the cats to the ISO, okay? Obviously that didn't work. They just started breaking out. We did go through and clean ventilations, filters around there. We did swab the inside of the ventilation systems. So we hope we got it. We will know, I say by beginning of the next week or so, if we got it all. And like I said, if we didn't, if we have to have a commercial crew come in, then we will do so. But where the air would be sucked into is not really over the kennels, so I'm hoping that it contained on the other side of the wall where they were. But we have hosed everything down from ceiling to floor. So a little bit of good news. We did receive an $1,100 spay and neuter grant from the department. of ag that will spay and neuter about 75 animals there. So we were happy to get that. It will go back into our revolving account for the spay and neuters that we do there. And we are finally fully staffed. I just hired my third kennel tech last week. She seems to be doing an amazing job, so I think she'll do well for us. Any other questions?
Any further questions for animal control? All right, thank you. Next will be on the report, be the sheriff's department. And you do have a copy of that enclosed.
Okay, in the month of June, at the Bedford County Sheriff's Department, we patrolled over 2,000 miles every day. We served 822 warrants with 238 arrests. The number, and I'm not sure the exact date this number was given, but the number of inmates we're currently holding in our jail is 311, so it's steadily coming up. Interestingly enough, I was talking to a sheriff just southeast, county southeast of us, which has more population than Bedford, and they probably have half that amount. And he was kind of alarmed because his numbers were down, but he said that another county, which is right below us, was down as well, but ours are not, so I told him I guess that was a good problem to have. Investigations, 328, 57 traffic accidents, 56 motorist assists with 21 aggravated assaults. We had transported in custody 84, not in custody 21, 81 traffic stops 273, and 157 911 calls. The Drug Task Force in the month of June had 23 investigations. Of that 23, all but 2 were in Bedford County. 5 firearms were seized, $26,350 in illegal drug proceeds, marijuana, meth, amphetamines or ice, powdered cocaine, crack cocaine, pills, medications, heroin, fentanyl. There were a total of 30 defendants that were identified in these crimes. During the month of June, the Drug Task Force had 6 requests to assist other law enforcement agencies, so they were a pretty busy group as well in June. I've got my high-tech report here from Sergeant Burris on our court report. People that were actually on the docket in June was 1,772. The total of court sessions in June was 34. And the people that came into the building in June, and this does not include the Sheriff's Department, but the people that came in, 5,668. So the courtroom officers were busy as well. I might mention, and this ain't not June, this is as we speak, but this week, the Bedford County Sheriff's Department is hosting a training session for, I guess it's Tennessee Department of Corrections. And they're doing a class for all, well, not all, but a lot of Middle Tennessee agencies. So we were proud to be able to host that this week.
Any questions for the sheriff?
Okay, well, I've got Lieutenant Cook is with me for jail report. I'm going to have to leave because I got to go to another meeting.
All right,
Thank you, Sheriff.
thank you. Lieutenant Cook?
I don't have any new business for the jail. The work crews in the month of June saved the county $54,720.
Lieutenant Cook,
Yes, sir.
I know that you're doing good work in regards to the MRT program. Do you have an update for us on that program? Is it still going strong?
Yes, sir, it is. Biggest change in the last few months, we do have one other person, well, actually two other people who are certified to facilitate programs now. So we're in the process of starting some new programs we couldn't offer before, so. Doing approximately 8 programs right now. I say approximately, because we're in the process of upping that. I want to be at 10 by the end of next month, and maybe 12 by the end of this year. So, I think it's a good thing. We're able to offer parenting classes and codependency and some things that we couldn't do before, in addition to trauma and MRT. And so the program has really grown in the last 18 months. We've got about 30 people who have gotten out of jail. 2 have been rearrested. When you think recidivism rates roughly around 75, 76%, and 2 out of 30, roughly about 30, 32 that have gotten out, that's not bad. I mean, I think in the long run, once we look at it 3 years down the road, or maybe 5 years down the road, we're going to see a huge impact that we've had on the community. So,
I commend you for what you're doing.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any further questions for Lieutenant Cook? Hearing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Next will be the EMA report. David's here.
I don't have anything new to add to our report. I will talk about a couple things that's just happening. Just so everybody knows, of course, we have the fair going on this week. Obviously, we have weather as it's rumbling behind us. And even though we're not physically involved in planning or supporting an event, we're always watching out for the weather. So we've been putting out some of the folks, mostly public safety people, and been in touch with several police department, been in touch with the fair also to make sure we got our weather out. But that happens on events that we don't physically touch planning or support. We're always looking out, finding things. We're having something on the square, something in War Trace, something bell buckle that we're not technically or physically involved in. We still watch out and keep up for the weather. So, and we'll always doing that. So we put out briefs for those. So we give them plenty of time today. So we knew this was coming in, so they'd have time to make plans. So for the rest of you, we're going to get a bunch of rain tonight. So, and some more storms a little bit later. Not going to be severe, but it is going to be a lot of rain. Second thing I wanted to talk about was we attended some training with our school system here. It's a program that they're looking at implementing within their plans also. And it was a day-long training. It was a very good learning experience, but some really good ideas came out of it, and we're glad to be a part of. I think Commissioner Thomas is going to be on a working committee, a working group, to come up with additional plans and things like that. So just another area that, of course, everything is kind of changing with new laws at July 1 about school safety. A lot of talk about school safety, a lot of talk about SROs from the Sheriff's Department and this and that, but there's a lot of other moving part that's going on too, and just want to let y'all know we're involved in that and we're moving forward with that also. So we are going to start a working group, and it'll cover some talking about policies, procedures, drills, exercises, training, all kinds of things. So good experience from our informational session with them this past week. That's all I have. If there's any questions.
Any further questions? Just to elaborate, our safety committee that we have in place now, we wrote a plan as a group. It's made up of fire department, EMA, sheriff's department, police department, EMS, a lot of different people, and I'm probably leaving some people out, but we all sat down and worked on this plan and came up with a plan for our schools. And now, like I say, we're revisiting that to update it and stay on top of it. So it's not just law enforcement involved in that. They take input from the teachers and everybody involved. It's a big working puzzle, so that comes together. And when you see it in play, and we've done some drills, and I think we're gonna try another one here before long, that it's pretty impressive to see all these working pieces come together, so. But if y'all have no further questions, thank you, Dave. Next on our list is juvenile detention. She's out. Yeah. But you do have a copy of her report, and if we want to question, we'll talk about it next month. Probation.
All right, I do have some positive news. On the side of your report where it states in-town reporting, the information there. As you're aware, we started the reporting site down here by the river, the Old Regions Bank. We started that in the month of June, and it exceeded what I thought it was going to do. We had 147 more clients report in the month of June than they did in the prior month of May. I was expecting maybe 50 to 60 more, so that number is, tremendous. We're doing it every Friday down there. We are allowing them to drive up to the window. My officers are sitting inside speaking to them. If we do ask for a drug screen, we ask them to park and come in, partaking the screen. It's done great. We're having homeless walk up from the river. It's never been able to come out to that building unless it was by, being arrested. So we have clients who's working at Tyson's coming on their lunch break. It's more convenient for them. So I just commend, the mayor for allowing us to do this because it is creating more compliance. And I just see if it keeps going the way that it's going, maybe even offering us a second day in town, maybe doing a Monday and Friday, because that's our two busiest days for reporting. Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are big for court, so we need to be out there because that's when General Sessions is. But I'm just blown away by the numbers, and I'm a data guy, so I do have, a spreadsheet where I'm tracking the numbers that I can share with you if you would like. I made some extra copies to bring, but I just wanted to.
Let me ask you a question. Is this 147 people that were supposed to report to you and were not?
So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the 147 number is just more visits into the office. Now, we're a biweekly reporting structure, so I have two officers whose clients reports this week, and then the other two officers that I have, their clients report on the other week. I don't know if it's 147 more people. It's 147 more visits into our office.
Okay.
That's all I have.
And on this sheet that you handed out, you want to
Yeah,
kind of explain that just a little bit so that
I'll
we
explain
can.
it. It's so I'm tracking each day. We have a software that when our client comes into our office, they check in. They pull their name up and pick their officer. So I know exactly how many clients come into our office, and I track it by days. As you can see that Fridays and Mondays are, that's where your bigger numbers are. So I've tracked the data for the whole month of June and May, but we didn't have the in-town reporting for May. And then the totals at the bottom, for instance, Alicia had 163 people report at the Justice Center, and she had 60 people report through the drive-through in the month of June, for a total of 223. And I'm not saying people, I should say reports to the building. Okay. So that's how many visits they had. Now, they should be, you know, each client should be reporting in at least twice. So unless they're on like a monthly reporting, we do have clients who live out of state, so they're on mail-in reportings, which wouldn't be reflected in this number as well. So the prior month total for Alicia, I'm just going to use her as an example because she's the first one. She had 186 visits in, where she had 223 in June. So you'll see there was a difference of 37 to the good, and then it was 147 increase. And then the very last number is 138 people reported to the offsite reporting. And that's our first month. I know July 7th was Friday. We had our biggest day of reporting. We had at least 61 people report to that site on that day. So you take the first Friday that we was in, we offered it, we had 20. So now we're getting more people, the word's getting out, hey, we're here, we're convenient for y'all. So they're starting to take advantage of it.
So compliance has increased drastically, it looks like.
It's getting better. You're always going to have the ones that's never going to report to our office. I mean, it's regardless of what we do. But we do have some, and like I said, we've had several, just come out and say, thank you. This is actually going to give me a chance to do right. We've had, a guy who's living under the river. He works at Tyson's. He brought a money order. He said, I want to pay it off and complete probation this time. He's been on probation with us for almost 3 years. And now he's trying to do right because we're more convenient for him. So that's what I was hoping for. Once we moved out there, our numbers dropped for compliance and reporting in, and it's because of the location. So if we're, have at least a satellite office here in town, I feel like we'll get more compliance.
I think it was a good idea.
Yeah.
All right, any further questions for probation? All right, as a committee, do y'all want to approve all these reports except juvenile detention, or just approve all of them as a whole?
We have juvenile detention.
We do have the report.
Yeah, we have the
She just
report.
wasn't here.
So I make a motion that we approve all four.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. All right. Is there any other reports to come before us? I don't know of. Any old business? Any new business? Mr. Maddox had an announcement you would like to make?
I do, actually, it's pretty
Mr. Maddox?
pretty good announcements. I just wanted to say congratulations to Commissioner Hooker. Sorry to embarrass you or put you on the spot, but Commissioner Hooker was just recently appointed by Governor Lee to the Tennessee State EMS Board. So he will help that board make decisions as far as EMS goes for the entire state of Tennessee. I think that's a huge accomplishment, and I think that it's not only something that's good for our state, but it's also great for our county. I know it happened a couple of weeks ago, Commissioner. I was just waiting to see if it was going to be announced at the commission meeting, but I wanted to take the opportunity to make the announcement and say that congratulations to you, and I think it's a great accomplishment for us.
Good deal. Any other announcements? A motion to adjourn.
Motion. Yep.
Go ahead and call the meeting to order for the Courthouse and Property Committee, and Commissioner Thomas is going to lead us in prayer.
Let's pray. Dear Lord God, thank you for letting us gather here together, Lord, to conduct business, Lord. We thank you for the freedoms you've given us, Lord. I pray, Lord, that we will represent you and make wise decisions. Through your Son, Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Okay, I believe the only one we're missing is Commissioner Neely. She had other places to be tonight. The first thing on the agenda is the approval of the June 20th Courthouse and Property Committee minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? All opposed? Next up is planning and zoning.
First, Madam Chairperson, I've noticed on the agenda that you guys don't have a copy of my
Yeah, I just saw that.
report, and I did my
Right.
report, so I'll email those out to everybody tomorrow morning, and
Okay.
then, so you guys can have them. And congratulations to Mr. Hooker. So since you guys don't have a report in front of you, I mean, I'm open to any kind of questions, but I'll just kind of tell you some of the things that we've been doing. Of course, there's always the comprehensive plan. We're still in limbo. Software, our SmartGov software that we have been trying to implement for a while. We're about at the 90% implementation stage. We're just at that moment where we're starting to T&E, test and evaluate, issue permits to ourselves, essentially that kind of stuff, look for holes, look for problems, and address those with the software developer. And so we're getting really close to that, and that's something we've been working on for quite a while, and it's pretty intense. We have meetings, online meetings every week, sometimes two. I've been working on two big projects that take a lot of my time of late. One is the TVA Connected Communities program, which is we were selected, Bedford was selected to participate in, and I got put on that committee. And that is essentially we're kind of rolling that into our broadband accelerate, which is another committee that I'm on, that we're participating in every week for 2 hours a week, where we're trying to essentially be the first rural county to be fully covered with high-speed broadband. And when I say high-speed, we want to say functional broadband at 100 over 20. And so there are areas obviously that have way better than that, but until you get up into those speeds, you really have sort of dysfunctional broadband a lot of the times. And so that's been a big project. It's been a big commitment. It's been a 16-week project that we've been participating in. I think we got about 2 more weeks of presentations before we submit our plan. So we're working on that. The TVA Connected Communities program is another opportunity that we've been selected for. It's a slightly different, although it's kind of coincides with the broadband initiative, in that it deals with broadband, but it also deals with technology, essentially the electric grid. What we're concerned about, and what I've been concerned about for quite some time, is with the proliferation of electric vehicles, we're concerned that our grid won't support that. And so what we're trying to do is we're working with TVA, working with Duck River, working with Vanderbilt, working with Silicon Ranch, solar provider, with a big solar farm out there on the north side. MTSU, we're utilizing MTSU in the flight school, and TCAT, trying to leverage and Duxon, we're trying to leverage all of the big providers out there and the grid in that particular zone. And what we want to do is create a program that sort of intentionally overloads the system so that TVA and Duck River can test it and study it, so that they can come up with and develop ideas that will probably be used nationwide. But we want to be the sort of facilitate that program here. And so big part of planning, we're looking at it from the planning perspective, is how do we deal with that proliferation of the electric vehicle and moving forward. And so this has been an opportunity, so we're addressing it in those ways. And so I think Thursday I've got my second meeting with the TVA program, and tomorrow morning will be my 14th meeting with the Accelerate program. So anyway, both of them are long-term, big projects that we've been working on. We talked about earlier in the Rules and Legislative Committee, Planning Commission recommended the termination of or the expiration of the moratorium on major subdivisions. And so that will automatically expire on July the 31st. And so we didn't put it on the agenda for the commission because by the time you guys meet on the 8th, it will have already expired. But the Planning Commission wanted to make sure that it was understood that we wanted to essentially recommend to the commission that we wanted to terminate it. So, and the reason why, we have gotten quite a bit of work done. Pretty much everything that we set out to do, with the exception of the plan development schemes, which we're very close on, we've pretty well done. And so, and this last Planning Commission meeting, the Planning Commission voted to approve a major amendment on the subregs, subdivision regulations, which is under their purview. And so it was quite extensive. I mean, it's taken me, I just completed I just completed the amendment of the book yesterday, and that meeting was almost 2 weeks ago. So, and just to give you some idea, the tabulation and the formatting and all the additional information, it took quite a while. So I put it up and uploaded it on the website yesterday. So that's available now. And so every time we change something, and anytime I got to put anything in one of those books, it changes everything. It changes page numbers, it changes everything. And so it's a lot of work that goes into that. We've been dealing with developer who wants to put a rock quarry in up on the north side. And so I've been back and forth with their attorneys in Nashville and also writing a report. I had to write a 12-page report. And essentially do the background. They were trying to claim that they had a grandfathered exemption, and I had to prove that they didn't. And they didn't. And we had to pull historical satellite imagery to show that there was no digging occurring prior to the passing of the zoning resolution. And so anyway, there's a lot of work that went into that. Again, sometimes we have easy weeks, and sometimes we have really tough things thrown at us that take lots and lots of time. And so I apologize. I did not get that report to Suzanne in time, and I didn't even realize until I looked at the agenda today. I'm like, sometimes you think you're in good shape, and you're not. So, but anyway, I'll take some questions.
Yeah, Chris, on the subregs, is there a way we can look at those just to see what was passed and what has been through? And then my second question is in those subregs, was there anything specifically laying out processes to help us maintain the rural look and feel of these subdivisions out in the community?
So the first question is, can you kind of see what was changed? Yes. When I send those items to the Planning Commission, essentially they're red lines. So it marks through what is the current text, and it adds what is the recommended text, and then, of course, then they look and debate those things, and they send those notes back to me and tell me, okay, this is what we like, this is what we don't like, mark through this. So yes, I will send you tomorrow, I'll send you that, so that way when you look at the book online, if you want to download a copy of it, you can see what we just amended. Second question, as far as the subregs, the difference between the subregs and the zoning resolution is essentially, this is, I'm going to give you a very simplistic kind of difference. We talk sometimes about Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, 14th Amendment, those things that give people the right to develop property. And so, and 14th Amendment is where we get our police powers from. So, the Planning Commission uses police powers to pass these ordinances, just like we would pass, like the sheriff has police powers. And so we use that, but police powers can only be used, they can only be developed in the furtherance of public health, safety, welfare. So when you look at the subregs are the most basic form of development, a set of development standards. Those are not that's not the book that we use if we want to further the health, safety, welfare component, which we do sometimes in other things, like zoning classifications, if you will, where we say, okay, these are the areas that are appropriate for this type of commercial development. This is the area that we think is appropriate for industrial development, residential development, different types of residential development. That all happens in the zoning resolution. The zoning resolution goes to the planning commission, then it goes to you, and you guys make sure that you agree with and ultimately pass the zoning resolution changes and that sort of thing. So in the subregs, we're not dealing with that type of thing. Those are the basic regs.
So on the other regulations, are y'all looking at any options there?
Yes, we are looking at quite a few. Where we're sort of headed with this is where we had essentially two paths for planned developments. What I'm going to propose to the Plan Commission, and we talked about this in the last meeting, would be three paths. And we're going to move from a planned unit development to a planned rural development, where we're going to incorporate aspects of the development that would be required to remain rural and organic. They'll get points, if you will, for keeping it looking more organic, more natural, less of the grid type patterns in the street scheme and street development, that kind of stuff. More of the, I want to keep this big tree or this group of trees, so I want to curve the road around, that kind of thing, and we'll be able to take those things into consideration. The other thing would be in what I'm going to propose is a stepped up amount of green space, required open space, and give points for agricultural space and that sort of thing, so that we can keep the agricultural component intact in some places, and so that these developments look and feel more rural and more like everything in the near vicinity.
I appreciate you doing that, because I think going back last year, that was our big concern. And I think that's great that you're bringing that as a proposal to them. Because I mean, my grandmother lives in one in Rutherford County, and I go and I look, and she's lived in this house for 8 years, and there's not a tree over my height in the entire subdivision. And they went in and clear cutted the entire property, and it's one flat piece of property for 600 homes. And the thing is you go through it, it doesn't look rural, and it's in the middle of the rural area in Christiana. So the thing is we just need to make sure that we are looking forward to do that. And I really appreciate your leadership in doing that, because I think you have a lot of the similar thought processes of trying to protect these rural areas, because, I mean, the citizens, they're asking for that. And I appreciate you doing that, because I think it's important.
And one other thing that we're addressing and that we will be presenting would be, remember we talked about the health, safety, welfare component of it, which is our basic set of rules. And what I'm going to propose is that we create, we'll create a district, essentially a classification, if you will, for properties that are century farms and all of the properties that surround it, and then also properties that are on the conservative list, with the state, where the preservation of land they use for tax credits, and all of the land that surrounds those, and create these little zones essentially that would require the development to be larger lots, 3-acre lots essentially, which would in some ways de-incentivize high-scale development. But what I'm going to do is, in the language, I'm going to use the food security section or kind of identify the health, safety, welfare component as a food security element, being critical to the health and safety of a community. And so that allows us to factor that into that rule, that where we're going to say, okay, in these areas, we want you to step it up and do 3-acre lots, and here's why. because that's what we have to do is figure out why. And I think that, in my opinion, the food security element is something that falls very nicely into that realm.
The one thing I would just ask for you to consider as you go through this, you know, somebody that's had a farm, they've got kids and they would like to just kind of section off a little area for them to build a house on the edge of the property or something. Just take that into consideration where we're not punishing farmers that want to do that for their kids. I appreciate you walking down that path because I think that's great in trying to preserve this property. I just don't want to punish farmers that, you know, or somebody that owns a large piece of land that just wants to be able to give a piece for their kids and things like that.
And I think the way that we would address that, and I appreciate you bringing that up, because sometimes you'll get in a zone and I'm writing and, you know, you overlook little details like that. But I think the way that we could properly address that is the difference between a major subdivision and a simple subdivision.
Okay.
And so if it's 5 lots or less, it's a simple subdivision. A landowner could do that. We'll take those regulations out of that type of land development and only apply them to major subdivisions.
Thank you.
Okay? Any other questions?
Does anybody have any other questions for Chris? Okay, thank you. And everybody's got Amy's report, but she's not here. Does anybody have any comments on her report before we go forward? It looks like everything's staying pretty stable. Okay, IT, Josh?
You should have a copy of my report right there in front of you. We have some ongoing projects, everything from, as the obvious here, as you can see, if you're watching on Facebook, or YouTube rather, you'll notice that we added some new cameras to the room. We've added some new angles to this specific meeting. We've added another microphone so that the public can engage the committees. And we're continuously trying to improve our experience there for the users at home so that they can engage and interact too. We still have business as usual, though, to attend to. That's cybersecurity awareness training for our employees. We still have standards that we have to uphold. Business outside of the streaming environment, we still have those responsibilities too. Server maintenance, licensing agreements, maintenance contracts, installations at other buildings, offices moving from one site to another. It never stops for us. We're constantly working help desk tickets all day long, and then we'll go when we don't have an inundation of tickets to work through. Then we're constantly trying to strategize. There are 4 of us in my office. I would like to add that we were able to replace our furniture in our office, which was nice. After the flood, the insurance paid about $20,000 to replace some equipment and some furniture in our office. It looks really nice and professional, and I'm really excited about it. It feels like an IT office. So if you get a chance, come by and see it. I think you'll be proud, especially the fact that we let the insurance company pay for it. The taxpayers didn't have to do that. So, so that's all I have. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Josh? Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Well, I'm next, so, and I noticed my report's not enclosed, and that was
No,
unbeknown to me, so. But I'll
that's
get you,
unusual for you.
I will get you a report emailed out tomorrow. I don't know what happened there. But, what we've been doing over the past 2 or 3 months is, you know, we had we did some, I won't say remodel. The Shire, we put in the fire hall 35, 40 years ago, finally gave away. We got bids on that. They were anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000. We did the work ourselves, and I think it was a little over $2,500. So we tore the walls out, we put it back. It ddid take us about 6 weeks, but we did it between calls.
That's great, though.
And right now, a project that we're working on in the station, you know, we have a shop building in the back that we took, we got the new air compressor coming that we got through a grant. Should be here this week. We had to put it in a room, and it's because the environment that we're in is surrounded by concrete, dust, and all kinds of chemicals that they make concrete with. And so we had to build a room and put what they call a pressurized room ventilation system that pressurizes the room to keep that dust out of it. It has a filtration system. So we're in the process of finishing that up. The equipment is ready to go in there. We're not quite finished with the room, but it's ready to go. So that's kind of where we're at. And on the FEMA grant that we got, I think it was $60,000. We're starting that process. The paperwork and all's been done. We've got a class we have to attend. I think it's the 27th that we'll do that, and then we'll start putting it out for bids and see how they come back. We do have options on that bid process. If it goes over, then we can go back to the federal government and ask for additional funding, and then, or we can cut back on what we're getting to match the dollars that we have. So we're in the learning process on this, and this has been a 5-year project for us that we've been trying, so it finally paid off. But
Is there a deadline you have to have it done by?
2 years is what they give you, but we can't wait that long. Because if during budget hearings, I told you if we didn't get it this time, I would have to be asking you probably for $1 million loan, and then we would have to figure it out. But the good Lord blessed us, and
Congratulations on
Yeah.
that. Will this
Well-
replace all the air packs throughout the county and volunteer departments as well?
every one of them.
And are you staying with
got
Survive Air?
112.
Are you staying with Survive Air? or
They're
you
no
switching?
longer in business.
Okay.
They were bought out by Honeywell. Honeywell's been bought out by another company. There's not, and without getting into vendor's name, but there's not but about 3 companies that are in that business die-heartedly. So, but we will, what we've done and what we're in the process of doing is taking 2 members that will actually wear these air packs from each station. Will become a committee. They've got an evaluation sheet. They'll meet with the vendor, and then they'll come back with their recommendations to us to see what we can work out on a deal. So
It's a great process.
all right,
Does anybody have any other questions for Mark?
thank you.
Okay, awesome. Okay, Philip is not here with 911, but you have his report. Any comments on the report? Okay, and John is here from GIS. He was, he's gone now. Oh, well, forget that. Okay, we've got his report. You can read over it. Sounds like he's been busy. I'll entertain a motion to approve all the reports.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And then, under old business, we have the old workhouse and surplus building. I talked with Chad about this, and he said, the mayor, he was working on a plan for transition. He was gonna present it to us tonight and start talking to us about it, but he's not here, so I would like to defer that till he's here to explain that. That's okay?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, all opposed? All right, any new business? Any announcements? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.